Maurice is here. So yes, you are welcome to the first episode of This Is Not Information podcast with Bernadette, Mega, Kristen, Maurice, and me, Paul. So we're gonna jump this off. Mega said he's going to moderate, but I guess I will start because he's taking a little break. So Bernie, you want to get into the rules and then we can do intros or see how temperature check.
Bet. So hello everyone. So there are 8 rules that I'm going to go over. The first one is that this is a safe space for all of us to come together and express our feelings and opinions related to Japanese culture, as well as our interest in a much broader Asian culture. Number 2, please respect individual pronouns, whether they are in this conversation or not. Number 3, one mic. So there's a feature in Zoom where you can raise your hand. So please use that to ask to speak, or as what Polly did, you can put your hand up in the little window that you have. Number 4, listen to understand, not to respond. Ask questions instead of assuming. Number 5, following Don Miguel Ruiz 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. And also, sorry, my brother is laughing in the background with his girlfriend. So if you hear anything, that is him. Number 6, understand that not everyone's foreign experience, Black experience, female experience is the same. Do not invalidate others' experiences just because you have had a different experience yourself. Number 7, if at any point you feel uncomfortable, let us know. We're all friends. We're on Zoom. You can chat, put something in the chat to let us know. We all want to be mindful of each other. And last but not least, please only share things that you've learned and not personal stories of others who are not in the conversation unless you have been given explicit permission to do so. And with that, we can begin.
Cool. So yeah, I think we could just do a round. I'll just call people out because if people have seen this, I think people will see our old podcast, which it's not that old. It's like, but this is our new podcast. So yeah, let's just go around, see how people are doing, and you can introduce yourself. Let's start with Kristen.
Okay. I kind of knew it was about to be me, but
Because you're right here on the thing for me. That's why I'm just
all
trying to go.
Gucci. Hi, guys. For those who do not know me, my name is Kristen Norris, and I'm from the DMV area, currently living in Kensington, which is near Silver Spring. I feel like I'm talking about places people don't know, but just in case. So I was living in Japan for a year, and I just moved back to the States last March. I was living in Nagoya, and then I had moved to Osaka before coming back. And I'm excited to have this great experience with you guys.
Cool. Let's see. Everybody's got their mics off. Maurice, are you there? Are you there? You still lurking? Nope. All right. Mega, you want to go?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Robinson Mega. I live in Tokyo. I'm a cultural ambassador for Ikebukuro, which I guess, like, comparatively, it would be like the Bronx of Tokyo. I write for Moto Nice with my man Pauly Rhymes. I am also the host and producer of the Mega Late Show, which is a Tokyo-based hip-hop art and culture podcast. We've been going for almost 4 years now. And in addition to that, I am a contributor to this podcast. This is not information. Thank you for having me, or stuff. I don't feel good today, guys. I'm trying my best. So yeah.
Yeah, try your best. Yes. And he's the creator of the name too, by the way. Give him his flowers. I'm giving you the flowers. Bernie, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Bernadette Benjamin. I am a recent college graduate. I had studied sociology when I was at my previous college, which was Bard. I use she, her pronouns. I'm also currently living in Brooklyn right now, but I will be moving to Japan very, very soon. So I'm very excited for that. Woohoo! I am an avid reader, anime watcher, an inspiring novelist, and a chicken enthusiast. I am currently deciding on a legal career track or academic career track, but being part of this podcast has given me a lot of ideas of what I can do in the future. When I go to Japan, I'll be a teacher, so I'm looking forward for this new experience before I actually start off my career. Um, Also, fun fact, I'm like 4'11", so that means I give the right amount of squeeze because hugging is my passion. So, woohoo! Yeah. Well,
Bernie dropping bars today. I got two already. Gonna have to keep. That's because she went to. We'll save the. We'll save it for the last topic. I'm gonna go. All right. So my name is Paul. My rap name is Paulie Rhyme. Original. I write for Moto Nice. I've also been writing for BCJ, which is Black Creatives Japan. Trying to do more of that, as well as I run a school in Honda, which is in South Central Japan, right down below Nagoya, which is like, I don't know, would be like Chicago, Cleveland, something like that. It feels like Cleveland sometimes. Sometimes it feels bigger. And I moved here from California. My hometown is Cleveland. And recently, because of the election, which we'll get into, I've been using my degree in political science. I am not a Facebook scientist. I actually know what I'm talking about sometimes. And I am the proud father of Maya. And I live in the woods. Not kind of. Kind of live in the I'm like a man in the woods. All right. Anyway, so we got three topics, one of which we'll see how that one goes. But the big topic, obviously, is the election. Slash, I think we should talk. Maybe people who are listening don't always, they probably know, but don't always think about the three branches of government. So maybe we can talk about, break it down to executive branch, legislative, and then talk about the, I'm about to mess up, Supreme Court. Judicial. That's what I want to say. So just like thoughts about the election that is still kind of going on. What do you guys think?
I just want to say that was a shit show. I spent the past whole week not looking at it at all. I moved away from space on Facebook at all. Like, listen, from Monday through Friday, it was all about me drinking wine, reading, doing ever self-care every single day. And looking at the elections was not part of it until Friday and Saturday, when it was, when the race was getting close, and then on Saturday when everybody was like throwing parties. So I don't know, Kristen, where you were at, if there was like people going crazy, but I was woken up at like midday Saturday because the weekends you stay late, you sleep in bed, whatever. My brother and I, we were woken up by like cars like honking excessively because people were just shouting, having fun. People were like, there were fireworks, people throwing beer cans. They went all the way to the end of Brooklyn. How it was light. And I was just like, wow. That's how I knew. I was like, the moment I heard people like, yes, I was like, yeah, Biden, something positive Biden happened. Because it was not like that when Trump happened at all.
Yeah, my mofos was distressed. It was like for shock. I think I was in shock when Trump. I was like, really? We're about to do this Ronald Reagan thing all over again. That's how I felt. Now, what y'all think? What was the response? I mean, the States probably crazy. I don't know about Japan.
I'll speak up. I mean, of course, um, I was happy to see Trump fall from grace, so to speak. I'm still not really convinced that it's all over yet, although was completely bad in all aspects of his approach to politics. And I don't and that's not to say that he's not a cancer, but you know, looking materially at some of the things that he wanted to do and some of the things he wanted to accomplish, um I just, before I start rambling, let me just say that yeah, it's a sigh of relief, but I'm also kind of grossed out by how quickly people gravitated to Biden and to Kamala Harris as if they were like good for America or Black people. So I find some of it a little bit gross, coming from people who, you know, I don't know, so from people that I thought had different political positions. And I think that the Democratic Party is a shit show as well. But hey, man, at least the kind of brutal approach of Trump is gone for today.
Yeah, I mean, man, fuck Joe Biden. That's how I feel. I voted for him.
Yes.
And yeah, see, look, I did not bring Maurice on. But
Yes.
I went through the both emotions. Maurice, you want to speak on it? Come on, Rick. I introed you perfectly.
I was like, what is that voice?
Yes, it's the disembodied voice of your brother Maurice. Yeah, thank you all for having me again. I'm just gonna say this real quick, and then I'm gonna head out, and then I'm gonna come back. Since I was registered in California, I had no hesitation in not voting for Joe Biden just because of the fact that I know, as a Black man in America, the Democratic Party has used me and my people for the past 7-8 decades, since FDR, to enact imperialism, to enact oppression of our own, to enact widespread normalization of the pain and the suffering of our people to maintain the empire of the United States of America. So for me, and I think all of you, most of you all can speak to this, once you get outside of the core of the empire, you know, like a lot of us, you know, I'm talking to some people, you know, just chatting with them, social media, those who haven't lived outside of America or haven't really experienced life as a Black person outside of America, I think it's one of those rude awakenings that intrinsically as Black people, we know already, we know deep down just because of generational trauma that Americans don't care about you as far as they can use you. Once you've outlived your usability, then you are easily cast aside. You can see it in many places on the fringes of our empire, you know, places like Guam, Mariana Islands, in Oceania, Okinawa. You could make an argument for Puerto Rico, many other places that have served to maintain the borders of our control over the globe and the economies therein. But you have many people that still, like you said, we rush to try to make good out of a shit sandwich. You know, Biden is, you know, I've been saying this since he entered the race last year. You know, it's like he was the worst candidate out of that field, you know, and not to say that any of the people in the Democratic side were really, really good. You know, they all had their shortcomings, but out of all those, you know, the 5 or 6 front runners that were there, it was like he had no business being there, but he ended up coming out on top because of the fact that he had been an establishment candidate and a person that had actively participated in the oppression of Black people, not just within the United States, but worldwide. And that's brown people too. You know, we're talking about the global South. So for me, you know, I've been trying to, how do you say, I want to be nice about it when I approach fellow Black and brown folks, and people in the global South about this, because a lot of people are like, oh wow, I'm so relieved and this is great. But it's like, but why? We going back to a normal, which is what, y'all were y'all in the streets like protesting? Weren't y'all mad at people like Baltimore, Freddie Gray, Rough Rides? Weren't y'all mad? When it came to Sandra Bland, weren't y'all mad? That happened under Obama and Biden. Weren't y'all mad with Trayvon Martin? Michael, Mike over there in Ferguson, Mike Brown, weren't y'all? I mean, is that normal for y'all? Is that normalized when we say, okay, just because we have somebody that's not going to be rude and brusque and being an asshole in public, does that mean we go back to just getting killed quietly and being polite to people that want us to just shut up and take the suffering? So for me, it's when I found out, and I saw the news that Biden won, it was just like, okay, what are we going to do next? That's the thing that I'm most concerned about, because now those calls that you hear from people on all sides, like, oh well, even from the left, where they say, oh, we can hold this guy accountable, we can push him left, you know, yeah, that's true, more so than a GOP candidate, but how are we going to do that? How are we going to implement that and minimize the harm to us? Right. So that's what I'm looking for. I've been hashing it out, been going at it with, some of my dearest and closest friends over the past couple of decades. There's a lot of these people that I went to school with, that I grew up with, they said straight up, we're pragmatic, as Black voters, where, yeah, we probably know in the back of our head we can't get somebody like a Howie Hawkins elected, or a socialist candidate elected, or even Bernie Sanders. We got to get somebody like a Biden in to placate white supremacy, because we know to run full on head on, like full speed ahead against the machinations of white supremacy in our country and worldwide, is to wish certain death or quick death upon a lot of people that look like us. So we have to strategize. We have to get to the ground. Like Walt Rodney says, you gotta build a community with those that are like-minded, and make a strategy to minimize the risk and the harm to those who are pushing for, a better society. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. But it's a sense of dread. Like Meg said, it's kind of bittersweet, because I mean, I know that I don't like to name names, but like people like a Van Jones, right? I thought that he was a socialist, but but
Van Jones is
he can,
trash.
yeah,
I mean,
but
Maurice, let's give Mega. You want to? Meg got his hand up.
Yeah.
What
Okay,
you?
go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I was just going to build off of what Maurice was saying. In the chat, I put that Biden and Harris have likely done more damage to the Black community than Trump did during his presidential being the president of the United States. And it's interesting to me how quickly people who are fighting for Black rights, they tend to frame it as if our main enemy is white supremacy, as it pertains to being killed by the police or being impeded by our upward mobility in reaching these places where white people appear to have the most power, your CEO positions, your professional managerial class positions. But one of the great things that I think that the Democratic Party does that is also a central component of the Republican Party is it obscures economic issues to make it seem as though these are not pertinent to actually raising the quality of life for Black people, poor Black, brown, and even white people. And so it's kind of nuts to me how, with this in mind, we're looking at Joe Biden, who has a history as a segregationist, the crime bill of the 90s. We look at Kamala Harris, who within the last decade is responsible for keeping prisoners in jail longer. She's decimating Black communities with her prosecution. and we look at them, and the signaling is all, don't worry, we have your best interest in mind because we're paying attention to the identitarian politics, just like the corporations are doing. We're signaling that we're on your side, we've got your back, but historically, they've never really done that whatsoever. And so what's gross to me is that people get so tied up in that immediately. And you have these people like Van Jones, like so many people in the media and social media who are so tied to the idea of the identity that they forget about economic policies. If you look at Joe Biden's page, his economic policies are a disaster for a lot of communities. If you look, like in California, one of the acts that didn't pass is like the Uber and Lyft don't have to consider their employees, their workers employees. And these are the type of things that are most drastically fucking up the entire lower class of America and making things hard for us. The amount of people who are killed by police is fucking brutal and disastrous. But man, a lot of those things like poverty exacerbate these places where crime is most prevalent and people are most getting killed. And I hate to try to, especially when I'm around y'all, because you guys know that my politics are mostly Marxist, and I like to recenter for class a lot. This doesn't mean that I disregard race and identity, but sometimes, man, it's like the main difference to me these days between people that signal that they're left and actual leftist policies is that the main difference has got to be that when you're an actual leftist, your fight is against the policies caused by capitalism. If you're signaling left, your fight is against the policies that are within capitalism. So you're fighting these things within capitalism. And if you're actually left, you're fighting capitalism because you figure these are the root of the problems. And I see so many people signaling woke, revolutionary, militant politics, but they just simply lack any material understanding of how to even imagine a governing body or a world in which these things aren't the ones that are fucking us up. It's fucking nuts to me. It's fucking nuts to me that the left, the American left, the Democratic Party has obscured this so well to people who would otherwise be socialists, actual socialists or actual communists. It's nuts because it shows me that people aren't reading theory, that they're not reading theory at all. They're looking for the answers to individual answers. They've wonderfully restructured it so the racism problems are put upon us in the same way that the environmental problems are put upon us instead of the larger structures that are most contributing to those issues. So, I mean,
yeah, I think that's a
racism
good.
is dope and all, but shit.
Yeah,
Anti-racism
racism, man.
is dope and all, but shit.
So, Kristen, because I think that's a good segue into what's happening in Congress and with AOC. But Kristen, let's get your thoughts on the executive branch, and then we'll move to the legislative branch in the Congress.
I mean, boy, can I even show up mega at this point?
No, but what do you think? I mean, you know, we got different. We arrange, Kristen. We arrange.
That is true, but no, I mean, I really like what he said. As far as, I guess, my whole thoughts and feelings on the election, like, I guess I was just happy to see Trump out of office because he's just dumb. Like, he's not a good business person and he's not a good politician. So I don't even know why people even voted for him. I was just like, I think more people were happy to see him go than for Biden to win. And that's literally why so many people came out and voted. So in that regard, I'm just happy that we're rid of him, or for the time being, I guess, technically we're going to get rid of him come January, but this dude has lawsuits like being brought into process, even though they're completely baseless, getting all these affidavits. What's that legal term? Bernie, can you help me? Affidavits?
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 Yes. Sorry, I'm drinking a little bit to ease my nerves.
That's what I do it.
Oh.
For the 21 and up crowd. We love it.
You know, drink responsibly. Yeah, like just things like that are just baseless. And I'm just like, I mean, bro, if you're gonna like bring up all these lawsuits, at least have some like hard facts or like cold hard evidence. but that's like a whole nother topic. It's funny because the Black people in Georgia really showed out this year. Like Stacey Abrams was like the forefront of just like mobilizing like the whole Black community into voting. And I just think that shows that when we want to, we really can mobilize like the youth and like our entire group out there. It's just that I feel like we need to educate our general population on how government works. Okay.
Yes.
Because I also feel like a lot of the younger generation, especially, they don't understand how local politics plays into, you know, the bigger politics as a whole. Like, of course, like you're going to vote for the president, and, you know, the executive branch is an important part of our entire government system, but it all starts at the local base. Like you need to be thinking about like what senators' policies you like, what this governor does, and what he or she is going to do for the community. Like these are the things that we need to educate the youth upon. That way they can become more active in politics and they actually know what they're doing. So,
Right.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, and we can talk about that more in terms of it kind of connects to both of what Mega said and what Kristen said as far as identity politics and how Trump is just the worst. So Democrats were able to capitalize and say that we're less worse, but they're still working within the frame of capitalism. They're not really moving left, right? They're saying they're more progressive. Even Biden yesterday on Meet the Press, Biden's campaign manager was talking about we have the most progressive, you know, platform ever, right? And that's not saying much. It's just saying that we've moved a little bit because, you know, before everything, you know, Obama was a centrist. You know, you look at Bush, you look at Trump and populism or Trumpism. And so even to move just increments left, right, and put a face on it, right, and put this face of Black women on it, we have to see, right? And I think like what Mitt Romney said was people voted for Biden, but when you look down ballot, they voted conservative. And so I'm wondering what you guys think about what's happening down ballot. So, you know, Mega talked about Uber and what's happening in California. So I voted for all these things in California, more of a progressive agenda. And a lot of the progressive things failed, right? And if you look at, for example, the squad and those people who were for Medicare, they won, but the people who were anti-Medicare, they lost, right? And so in some of those places that are a little more conservative, still, those Democratic candidates are losing.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what you guys think, because the majority in the House is less. And you have that runoff in Georgia, which again, Georgia is very important. And I think, you know, this idea that, you know, that coalition that includes Stacey Abrams, and there's a couple other names that people have posted on Twitter, is still very important, because without a majority in the Senate, you know, with the smaller majority in the House, you got a majority in the Senate, you got people like Susan Collins, who they're thinking maybe she will go with the Democrats. You're looking basically at the last 2 years of Obama's administration again, kind of a lame duck, extended lame duck session. So what do you guys think about that? Mega, you got your hand up.
I'll be talking a lot, so I'm always going to have my hand up. But if somebody else would like to go first, I don't mind. I was pointing out in the group about convincing people that politics can change their lives, right? And demystifying certain things about the two-party system and these broken epistemologies. So I think that the kind of neoliberal agenda, and as you guys know, when I say neoliberal agenda, I mean on a wider political spectrum. I mean the very centrist type of capitalist politics that occur in the United States between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. I think that we're seeing under late stage capitalism that it's coming close to exhausting its ability to satisfy enough people to sustain its legitimacy. So we often look at it as though like these main points are going to be the primary things that each party is focusing on. But more since after Trump, I think we're seeing the ways that the two political parties are kind of reworking themselves. And one of like I mentioned in the chat that Trump's turnout from all ethnic groups of people was more for him this time. And we like to think that, oh, Black people historically vote for the Democratic Party. Latinos should vote there because these are the people who are signaling racial equality and anti, white supremacy. But I think we're noticing that people at the end of the day are also really voting on their material interests. And so a larger group of people are going to be for the healthcare. And Trump ran on kind of a populist position where he was going to keep people's jobs, and Black people voted for him for a variety of reasons. And Black people are concerned about police in their neighborhoods. They want police in their neighborhoods, especially if there's lots of crime. And so I really think that we should focus on more than what the two parties are always signaling at, because there's a whole plethora of different material things that are important, like the down ballot voting. And I think we're going to see more and more of people realizing that this shit is all bad for poor people. And if we could demystify and get people to stop thinking about the things that divide us, then we could probably unify and get things like universal health care. I saw a map, they show the political map, which is, the contrast is blue and red, but the mixture of it is much more purple. And I saw another political map that was showing the number of people that would be for Medicare for all and some of these policies that help the poorest groups. And man, there's an overwhelming majority for a lot of these things. It's just that neither party really want to accomplish those things for us. Even I'll stop there because I don't want to go off too much longer. But yeah, man, I mean, yo, it looks fucking crazy when we think about just the main things that we're focusing on being the dividing lines, where like the majority of the population is all suffering from the same effects of late stage capitalism and from mismanaging of COVID. And if we could unify on those things, man, I think that it would be really dope. And I think that a lot of Black, brown, and other, Asian groups of people was looking at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and just not really convinced. And I think that they kind of think that maybe Trump is on to something when he's talking shit about these people. So I don't know what to call it. What do you guys think about Black votes for Trump?
Chris, hold on. Kristen says she has something to say, and then I got an opinion on that. I know Bernie do.
It was just very brief because I like what you said about like how if we could actually unite together instead of just being divided on race, because like race is just like a really huge problem here. Like if you've noticed, like it's always like somebody's blaming Latinos for taking all the jobs when like, of course, it's all of these big corporations like shipping your jobs overseas for a much cheaper price. And it's always like the Black people that are on welfare that are taking all the welfare. And I'm just like, but actually most of the welfare goes to like white women in like Midwestern states. So it's just all this misinformation that is going to, each side. And it's ridiculous because it's like, if we understood that we're all suffering in the same way, like we literally could just pull up and be a powerhouse, but like nobody is doing that. So I just wanted to agree with Meg on that. That's all.
Bernie, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree. Especially as somebody who thinks a lot about race and the way that race allows other people to ignore the actual issue or the true essence of the issue. And I think there's a lot of points that was going in my head as both of y'all were talking. And the first thing that comes to my head, especially with like down ballot and like thinking about how like people only think about the president, there is a lot that's happening. A lot of people, like you said, are like miseducated, and it's not just the younger generations, it's also the older generations, right? And I think and I think part of that is one, media, like social media or actual media, the way that they, like, I don't know if y'all notice, but I noticed that when it comes to the presidential elections, you see every single news site talking about it. Everybody's talking about it on Twitter. It's in your face. But when it comes to mid-elections, Nobody talk about it. Nobody knows who their local elects are, right? Like nobody knows who is going trying to be reelected to be on the judge, like the Supreme Courts in the states. Like nobody really talks about these kind of things because people don't know, people don't recognize it. I remember when I first voted, it was sadly for Hillary versus Trump, but in 2016, the only thing you really heard was Trump and Hillary. You didn't hear anything else. I know. I looked at the ballot. I was like, I don't know who y'all names are, but if y'all Democrat, I'm just gonna vote for you. I don't really know anybody else. And I know that's definitely on me as somebody who is participating within the political arena, but not as like actually running, but like participating in terms of voting. But I didn't really understand who else is running and what they're doing. And that's on me, right? Like that's on me as somebody who's going to vote. But at the same time, though, you don't really get a lot of this access to information. I remember I was in a class a few weeks ago and we were talking about the same thing, and how like there are certain states that make it easy for members in the state to learn about the elections. Like it's all on one website. Other states are not like that. So like I remember in Maurice was saying like voter suppression. I think that's also plays a key role in it. When people don't know what's going on, they're not going to vote. But I also agree with Mega that like we need to convince people that voting is essential. Like so y'all know I'm in like, you know, the dating arena because, you know, I'm young or whatever. And a lot of guys, trying to find me a mate. And and it's so interesting how a lot of, particularly because, you know, I'm a Black woman, so a lot of the Black people are coming to me more than white people, but a lot of the Black men that were trying to gravitate towards my attention, they made it a point to say that they're not political, as if being non-political is attractive. Being non-political makes you woke. I know, Kristen, you see it a lot, especially in the younger generation, when they're like, yo, like all y'all are just getting screwed up by these political conversations, like just don't look at it, like don't worry, like it's all fake. And it's like, okay, it's fake, but what you doing about it? What are you going to do? How are you as an individual going to mobilize in your community in order to do something to rectify the issues that's within this party? You telling me, hey girl, like you cute, I'm not political, is not attractive, it's not appealing, doesn't make you woke.
I try to keep a straight face. I know.
It bothers me because this is something I see in my generation or people in my age range, and they wear it like a flag. Like they're just like, yeah, I'm not political, like I ain't political. And it's like, okay, but then that means you allowing the system to be a problem. You're not doing anything about it.
Wow.
I just wanted to put that out there. It was been bothering me because I'm on like 3 different dating sites and they all of them.
That's the like, tagline, not political.
Literally.
I'm not taking it to the man, the man's taking it to me. And that's okay. Yeah, so before Megan, before I let you in, so the one thing in talking about, I think this is a problem. So and the main thing is when we look down ballot, right, we talk about education. And so, and I just go back to AOC because I was watching her interview and she was saying how the Democratic Party, which I personally believe is intentional, is campaigning like it's 2005. And so actually not wanting everyone to be educated only on certain, up into a certain point so they can control them, right? And so this is something that the Republican Party is actually dead on 100% about. And the fact, like, not necessarily the information that they're giving out, I don't agree with, but I agree with the fact that they're saying you need to be educated, you need to be a free thinker, you need to do these things. Now, what they're giving people, I don't agree with, but they're actually now moving people off of these places like Twitter and stuff. Now they're moving them to Parler and Mew. They're actually creating their own schools of thought, own places to disseminate information because there's so much misinformation on these sites, which they are part of. But I do think the Democratic Party is not in the business of educating people who support them. They want you to vote, they want you to side with them, but they don't really want you to talk about everything else. And that's
Right.
why primarily they're losing down ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Because and trying to blame the progressives right now, they're like trying to blame the left. We lost because of the left. No, you lost because you don't want to win. To a certain degree, because you're not moving to 2020. You know, everything is online. I mean, you look at Trump, like they've had to create rules around this because he's been able to use the bully pulpit like nobody else, you know, and his, you know, coupled with his celebrity. So I think that, and this is a criticism I think of the left, is that the left has not found a way to fashion the message, and because it's a bitter, maybe because it's a bitter pill, they haven't found a way to package the message for the masses in a way that the masses is like, yo, being non-political is not the cool thing. Being left is the cool thing. You know what I'm saying? Like being, you know, in a way that maybe W.E.B. Du Bois and those Paul Robeson were able to galvanize Black people, because there were way more communists in that era, even, and that was during the Red Scare. So, which if I don't know, they were really kind of hunting people and accused. It's like a witch hunt for communists, and lots of Black people were in that movement and received that. But Mega, yeah, before we get to Supreme Court, what you want to add to that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, it's like American politics in the media is just pure spectacle at this point, in the Debordian sense. And if you guys haven't read Society of the Spectacle, Guy Debord, The Situationist, definitely look into that, because it really clarifies a lot of things in the way that media is presented to us. But I think nowadays, like, you have people that vote for things that are just incoherent to their actual ideology. It's because when you have a political system that doesn't actually solve societal problems, politics becomes a vehicle in which people can just express cultural grievances and moral values. It becomes society of the spectacle. It becomes like a sports type of team, where you throw logic out the window, you throw actual political ideology out the window, and you're just there to do tit for tat, scoring of points and getting over on the next team. And I think that, like what Bernie's talking about, with people who are saying that they're not political, there's not very much difference between those people and the people who are super political to the point that they are so disillusioned with the system that they are conspiracy theorists. There's not much different other than the effort put in. Some of them are so cynical, it's like, yo, this is all bullshit. I'm not rocking with this. I don't see the same racial violence. I don't see the same impediments in my life as you. I'm working rent to rent. I don't have to think about that because I'm busy working. You got that segment. And then on the other side of it, you got people who are so deeply entrenched with the bullshit. They see all the bullshit. They're keeping track of the bullshit. And it just makes them feel as though all of it is fake. And it's kind of why conspiracy theory always formulates on the right, because the right is, and it's not a conspiracy theorists never come from the left, meaning the communist socialist spectrum, because the right is invested in the idea of capitalism working correctly if you can root out all the swamp and all the problems within capitalism. And that's not too far-fetched from people who are capitalists that think that if we can just get rid of lobbyists, if we can get rid of the money, if we can get rid of, all these exploitive things, and capitalism and the American dream will run perfectly smooth. Libertarians get on that shit too, but man, we're getting to the point where the illusion is so broken that it's going to be extremely polarized, like it is now, between Bernie's dating pool of people who don't give a shit and the super hotep QAnon red pilled maniacs who are protesting right now. So we have to convince people that politics can change their lives, not Western two-party system politics. We have to convince them to study, learn the difference between the two ideologies, structure it so they understand what the fight is against, and form coalitions, build cadre with people who are like-minded, and stop segmenting and breaking things apart to the point that there's no unification. And this is kind of my main issue with the identitarian approach, because it's so easily co-opted, it's so easily segmented. We have to find ways to forge an identity of the poorest people who are being fucked the most and fight together to overthrow these systems that oppress us more. So peace to Dawn. You know what I mean? My headache is there. I'm with y'all though. Sorry.
I guess my question would be is I'm gonna thread this back to Black women, because Black women have made a significant push. Yeah, Black women. I'm talking to y'all. And like I had this. Shouts out to my cousin Cicely. You know, she is kind of boys and girls. What not boys? What do you call that? Boys and girls. You know, the cotillions and all that. That kind of. You know, she
like
went
Jack
to
and Jill and
HBCU. Yeah, and very bright, amazing. But she was dead on. Like we have to vote Kamala and Joe Biden, right? And there is that group of people that feels like this is the moment for Black women to catapult them to the next thing. So my question would be, is this left movement part of the Black women's agenda? And is there a Black woman's political agenda? Because the stage is set, right? Like that's all the people are talking about. Thank Black women, which is true. Black women pushed us over and saved us again. I expect lots of Black women to be in the cabinet. When I look at the COVID task force now, there are 2, I believe, Black women there, as well as a couple of other POC women and men. So, but in down ballot, you see a lot of Black women. So I'm going to ask Bernie and Kristen, and then we can, also get into this. What do we feel is the Black women's agenda? And is it left? Is it middle? Is it right? Where is it? Deep.
Bernie.
No, I'm thinking because my initial reaction is that it leads left in terms of progressive, in terms of kind of similar to what Mega was talking about in terms of looking at those who are marginalized the most, which tend to be, low income, poor individuals, but then also in terms of identitarian, those who have intersecting identities that are marginalized in their communities. Like from how I've seen it, Black women, because of our positionality in society, we understand what it's like to be marginalized in multiple facets, and because of that we tend to help those who are also marginalized even more than us. Like for example, I'm able-bodied, but because of my positionality as a Black woman, I'm able to understand the issues that disabled individuals may go through, not in the terms of being disabled myself, but in terms of being oppressed in a system. And so because of that, I see it as more of, because of our positionality, we can speak for more than one individual or types of individual. But I also want to be clear that it depends on the Black person that you're talking about, because you could say like Kamala Harris is like for Black women, but is she really, as Mega was pointing out, that's the same thing with Candace Owens. She's a Black woman, but she is nowhere near fighting for people like me. No, I don't know what she talking about, but it ain't for me. Right? So that's kind of how I see it in terms of like the larger group category. As a Black woman, our positionality allows us to do that same, the forging, the coalition building that Mega is talking about. Like we can cross to other communities because of our positionality. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to let Kristen go, but that's the first thing that came to my head.
Actually, that's a really good question, because to be honest, that wasn't really a prominent thought in my mind until you asked that question. But I guess it would be similar to what Bernie was saying. What I feel like is nowadays, like the Black woman demographic is so varied. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of hard to pinpoint if like as a whole, this is where we're going, because like there are a lot of Black people in, not Black people, there are a lot of Black women in HRSA, for example. That is the Department of Health and Human Services. And that's like, a health department. Basically, there are a lot of Black women because, well, first of all, I've been to their office like 10 times and I can see it. And they also did like polling, and basically they comprise of about 46% of the entire department. And it's funny because like you meet a lot of women who are like deputies and chiefs within branches in that department. And there are a lot who do want to, you know, provide good healthcare options for, you know, low income communities, Black communities, of course, but they also want to, like Bernie said, they want to care about, I guess, intersectionality as well. So they care about, you know, other disproportioned, I mean, not other disproportioned, other, other, other disadvantaged populations as well. But then you have people who are so much into the politics that they only care about their agenda. So they don't really care much about a certain group. They care about what they want. So it pretty much depends on who you're speaking to. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. It really does depend on the individual because like what I'm noticing now, and I know Paul you want to move on, but like what I'm noticing now, kind of in line with the critique that Mega has, with people are so focused on the identitarian values that they're like, oh, as long as we put a Black person in this space, then it's fine, right? Like we have diversity, or we're getting all the thoughts from disadvantaged communities. But it's very important of like who it is that we're talking to, because like I not at my college, but I know some colleges try to have like, you know, a diversity expert, for example, which tends to be a Black person, but that Black person could do more harm to the community and then actually support the community and do things to the community that is positive, as Kristen was mentioning. So I do agree that it depends on who it is that you're talking to specifically as that individual, and what they actually know and understand, and what their agenda is and what they're going to do. But overall, the idea is that Black woman, because of their positionality, is much better suited to do it than other people. But like, yeah, I don't know.
Can we actually though get away from identity politics? So I'm just going to go back here. So because I've been watching Slavery and the Making of America, right? And so when you think about voting was strictly identity, right? Voting, when you think about 3/5 compromise, that was definitely a policy based on identity. And if you don't know, voting, before you had to own land, you had to be male and white, right? And so, yeah, and class. So
Right.
the and even when you go back to John Locke, life, liberty, pursuit of property. So when we criticize Black people or Asian people or POC people for being identitarian like I don't want to say politicians or proponents of identitarian politics, is that without recognizing that most white people are playing identity politics from birth, or they're benefiting from identity politics? Mega, go for it. That's what I'll bring it. Get it, bro.
I think there. I like to clarify this, because sometimes when people hear me talk and recenter things to a different umbrella than essentialism and identitarian politics, they think that I disregard these things. Which it's strange to me, because anybody that knows me knows how extremely pro-Black I am. I was a 5%er, nation of the gods and the earths. And that is a central component of my personal ideology. And I believe racism and white supremacy is something that we need to fight head on. Also for the rights of all other identities, you know, white folks in positions that their identity leaves them fucked up. And you know, the LGBTQIA, all of it, right? But here's the difference when it comes to discussing the material conditions of politics when recentering them only to identitarian politics. A lot of times when we only focus on the identity, we lose track of exactly what it is we're fighting, because identity is so nebulous. You know, the reason that 50 Cent and Lil Wayne are voting the way that they are is not because they have been confused by white supremacy. It's because they reach a certain segment of class where their primary focus is the material conditions in which they live. And they want to maintain that, and they'll claw at anything they can to get that, which means voting against the interests of other people that look like them. because their identity is not forged by where they're at in 2020. It's not forged by where they were at in 1993. There's a central change there to who they are. So when we talk about identity, we have to look at those material conditions, and we have to look past some of the things that only race-based analysis will show us. If a lot of times people talk about income disparity, right? And so if you look at income disparity, white families tend to make about like 13 times more, have 13 times more wealth than black families. But if you remove the top 10% of that white component that have the wealth, the top 10% of white wealth and the top 10% of black wealth, for the rest of us, it looks very similar. That 13 times difference is much, much, much more reduced. And in fact, 10% of the black population owns over 90% of black wealth. So if we're talking about voting and these voting blocks of blackness or Latino, look at the polls. We're finding more and more that these constituencies and these voting blocks are much more nebulous, and they vote in different directions than any single thing can really determine. But one thing that's more unifying between races is class. So I don't even know how to say if black women are leading the charge or it's their time now. And I don't really know what's different, because in my entire life, there have been so many powerful black women who have instrumentally changed the conditions of America and our neighborhoods, and the people who go on to be better things. It's always been black women. So right now, just because we've got Kamala Harris, who is in a position of power, who happens to look a certain way and have a certain genetic background, I don't see her in the same way that I would see Angela Walker of the Green Party. So hella different. I don't see her in the same way that I would see Cori Bush. It's so fundamentally different. And if we're just, I mean, I could tell you that every black person that I know is definitely not my ally. You know what I mean? And I say that about any other group of people. And unifying under that is just strange to me. I would love to feel like the unity was there because we share similar experiences when it comes to the police looking at us. But man, we really got to start looking past that, because all black folks ain't our friends. And every time a motherfucker that's black gets into a high position of power, there's a switch that happens. And it happens even lower on the ladder too. Black people in the professional managerial class are not voting to abolish the police, y'all. They're simply not.
Yeah, I brought that up with the Congressional Black Caucus because they definitely voted for the crime bill, and they had a vested interest, which, I mean, you see that interest with Clyburn and Biden and that connection to them and his push to get Biden to go ahead of Bernie Sanders. So yeah, I think we got time, but I did want to switch gears, and I don't know if anyone has the information on this. So I'm going to read a little bit of it. And so our next topic is about America's first vampire was black and revolutionary. And it's time to remember him. So this is an article. I'm not even sure how we found this, but it says in April of 1819, a London periodical, the New Monthly Magazine, published The Vampire, a tale by Lord Byron. Byron was at the time enjoying remarkable popularity, and his new tale, supposedly by the famous poet, caused a sensation, as did its reprinting in Boston's Athenaeum and Baltimore's Robinson's magazine. Probably Robinson Mega's people. No, The Vampire did away with the East European peasant of vampire ode. It took this monster out of the forest, gave him an aristocratic lineage, and placed him into the drawing rooms of Romantic era England. It was the first sustained fictional treatment of the vampire and completely recast the folklore and mythology of which it drew. I'm gonna skip ahead. So the big part was that he was the Black Vampire, a legend of Saint Domingo, and had its origins in the Caribbean. And also, what's remarkable is that this story is an anti-slave narrative from the early 1800s, which also contains America's first vampire. And then it goes down and it talks about the black vampire also explores the ideal of mixed marriage at the time, when interracial love was deemed taboo. So, one, does anybody know about this beyond the article? And what are your thoughts about a black vampire in the 1800s?
They don't discuss this in any of the critical theory books that I've been reading, man. This is the first
So
for me.
we're
Not even
literally
critical
taking a
race
different
theory.
route.
Nah, man. I need somebody to pick up the ball and clear this out for me. It's interesting. It's a fascinating read. I read the article and yeah, I don't know, man. The only black vampire that I really knew was Eddie Murphy, Vampire in Brooklyn, and he had a crazy, you know what I mean, S curl or Jerry curl going on. So yeah, shout out to him. Maurice got his hand up.
Maurice, yeah, Maurice, what's up? What's up? Black Vampire. Hit us.
I haven't read it, but I know that it's set. The backdrop is the Haitian Revolution.
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about resistance or this the sight of the black body as resistance, it's really interesting because a lot of people nowadays, we just got through with Halloween, and when we talk about like zombies and all that, most people, when I talk to them about, the origin of, what it means to be a zombie, especially in the Western Hemisphere perspective, somebody that's being controlled or can be enslaved even beyond death. And you have, I'm thinking of the parallels right now with like someone like John Lewis. I don't know if y'all saw that that drawing of him as his back was the bridge for people to walk on towards, like, I guess, a better future. And then you have all these other kind of tropes of like, black women, like a Stacey Abrams is a superwoman that's going to save America. And, black women in general are going to be the pack mules of, the reformation of the American experiment. I think the zombie kind of represents that too, because if you look at the practices of people who used the spiritual world as a site of resistance, it's like Obeah or like Capoeira, Ngolo, any of these types of things where you say, okay, for example, like with Capoeira or like Ngolo, most people, I've been in some rotas, like, and, my back is messed up, but, I still, still like to see people move in that way because it's tied to the continent. Most people that consume it are not black, and they don't have a concept of why capoeira developed as an art form, as a martial art form in Brazil. From, some people say it's from Angola, some people say it's from other places in Africa, but there's no dispute that a lot of the stuff came from Africa. Hiding resistance under the cover of dance and music, hiding it, hiding the spiritual aspects of these types of resistance in a form that can be consumed easily by the masses. I think it's a common thing. You see it all the time, like resistance music, you package something one way, people take it another way, and then you get a commodification of something like, hip hop, where it's the voice of the streets, it's the voice of the oppressed, but then you have somebody that can come in, they can waltz in, and they pre-package it into something that can be eaten up and even used against you, Somebody had mentioned on my Twitter feed, we talk about this all the time, like I'm from Georgia, so, I hung out with white folks, like when I was in university and high school or whatever, and it's like, yeah, you saw like country music, man, like you have all these white singers that, they obviously listen to black music, or the producers do, and they're producing black music, but it's with a white voice. So you have this phenomenon of like, like an Elvis, where, most people don't get, like, he is doing black music, but we have to package it in the same way. Same with vampires, like the dispute is with the black vampires that it is one of the first vampire stories, but you don't think of, like Megan just said, like, you don't think of like black people, when you think of vampire, you think of like Dracula, like some old white dude, like, you know, afraid of his own reflection or something like that, or like, you know, Mary Shelley, you know. But it's like, yeah, like it makes sense if you really think about it, like a Black person straddling the spiritual world and the living world, the physical world, and not really fitting in one place or the other. It's something that I see in sci-fi. I see it in pop culture all the time. You all touched on it before. I was listening in. I was on my way over to my office. Like with identity politics for Black folks, I think, and Bernie had touched on this too with the dating sites too. Like, with younger generation, I think you see this cycle where people try to get away from Black identity as a political statement, and I think that's one of the major victories of the miseducation system here, worldwide, really, but especially in the West, where you have people that forget that to even state that they're Black, or to say, that they identify with the African continent, is a political statement. It is a threat to the status quo. Most people, like, especially in the setting of Black vampire, if you get deemed a mulatto or quadroon or octoroon, you see in the Latin American world too, both, Black and white worlds, but especially like along that Mississippi Delta, you have, there's plenty of historical records about the Creoles, the people that are deemed not particularly Black and not particularly white. If you go down to the island of Santo Domingo as well, somebody was making a joke the other day, like in one of my private group chats, like about like, Toussaint Louverture, Breda, and then Jean-Jacques Dessalines, like, the differences between the two. Like, you had a lot of people that were part of the initial revolutionary group in the Haitian Revolution that were mulatto or Creole or whatever. They weren't black, and those were the people that Dessalines had to contend with later on. He actually got killed by those people, and then you see that lineage all the way down to the Duvaliers, to Papa Doc, Baby Doc. Then you go to the coup. There's three coup. Well, yeah, you could say there's three, but like by the Americans, you had one in the early 20th century, and then you had later on with Aristide to get him out of there, because they're all moving towards a communalist, a socialist movement where everybody is getting included. But some of those people, like I was telling some people privately, like when Megan mentioned and kind of touched on, it was like, yo, like just because you Black doesn't mean you get to go on this train. Not everybody get to go. Just because you Black doesn't mean that you're actually, your interests align with mine. And then you add class into that. Again, like when we talk about the Democratic Party platform, or the Republican Party platform, or any platform that, once you get to a certain income range or wealth range, the information is gonna trickle down to a very small rate, because of the fact you have people that their livelihoods or their way of life depends on your oppression, Black or white. So if we open it all up, then that means I don't have that privilege of being on top of things, that top 1% or top 10% even. you know. And then for me, again, you know, dealing with some of the people, you know, that I've grown up with, you know, some of them are in completely different income brackets and wealth brackets than me and have always been. And it shows now, you know, like with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you know, the reactions of, you know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying. It's like, oh, like this gnashing of teeth and long singing songs and holding flowers and vigils and all that. It's like, yeah, it sucks that she died, but like, dog, like, what did she do for you again? Like she did something, but like materially speaking, like if it wasn't her, like somebody else could have done that. In maintenance of the empire though, like she was a cog in that machine. And you had people that were glossing over the nasty parts, the not so savory parts. You know, the people that are in offices now, we have to swallow the good with the bad. So, you know, again, like some people will attack, you know, you mentioned before, like the if there's a Black woman in politics, or if there's like any type of platform, or yeah, I think obviously Black women as an electorate collectively, one of the most pragmatic, most sophisticated groups out there, because they know they have to manage all these things, you know, whether it's misogyny and misogynoir, or if it's class struggle, or if it's just straight up racism. You had people that knew, down in South Carolina, for example, even in my hometown, you know, like I was saying, like it doesn't just go to Stacey Abrams. This is a regional, a countrywide thing, where you have people that were already on the ground trying to do the things that Stacey Abrams is getting the credit, a large amount of credit for now. It's like moving and shaking, getting people that are generationally, they are conservative, but they realize that the specter of voter suppression, of identity politics being used against them, is not a trivial thing. It's a real thing that is, you know, it gets done over and over again. So yeah, like Black Vampire, I think for many people, if you get to read it, and like in the little I've read of it, it's like, yeah, like it kind of reinforces the fact that, you know, history is you know, like my younger students always agree, my boys always agree. It's like, yo, man, the reason why I'm a historian, the reason why I like history is because the history is here with you, man. Like, you don't know it until you start reading. Like, you got a lot of people that are afraid to read because of shit will like force you to confront the fact that maybe a lot of the things that you thought you had free will in, or that you had a free choice in, isn't really that free at all. And you have to be able to unpack that and really make sense of it to make your own, you know, rational decisions on how you want to live your life and how you want to treat others.
Muted. No, yeah, I think.
I thought I was going to get to talk about Blade and shit, but thank you for dropping that knowledge, Maurice.
I mean, he went, yeah. I love it. Maurice be having the jewels, man. He come in and out like a robbery. You know what I'm saying? He be having
and
the
then
jewels.
With that, I'm like out again.
So, oh, okay. I love this dude. He be coming from the fifth floor. If y'all know that reference to Martin. I love Martin.
Bro, man.
No, but I think it's cool. We should talk about Blade. Maybe next time we can talk about Blade, because they're about to reboot Blade. Why? Blade is
tax evasion.
Wait, what?
Yeah. He talking about Wesley, the perfect Negro. I mean, that's what we used to call him.
Yo, that's straight up though. How they did Wesley though? How they did Wesley though is exactly what I'm talking about. Like a lot of people, they get fucking twisted up. And they think, oh, like I'm in a certain tax bracket now, I don't have to abide by the same rules. And then they got his ass, man. It's ooh. He didn't have enough money.
I mean, he was.
That's all.
He could have just like the most popular Black man on the planet for a minute.
Could have just moved to Japan. Right. I'll tell you about that later, Bernie. Yeah. So the next one, actually. So, but I do think that's important. We should talk about taxes. That's a great topic. We need to come at that. And then yeah, man, Wesley Snipes, they did him dirty. But check him out. I know that's a generational thing. We should do an ode to Wesley Snipes. I'm gonna write that. That might be on Moto Nice. Wesley Snipes, the perfect Negro. Anyway, so there, speaking of social media, we've been talking slightly. There is a site that, if I would say this is on the list of being black, right? And it's also a generational thing. But we took someone in our crew who is, you call yourself a millennial, but you actually Zoom. As your generation Zoom, though.
I'm a millennial. I
Millennial. She's
claim that. I
claiming
don't care if I'm
millennial,
not
bro.
even in it. I'm a millennial.
Her birthday. She's so. Raise your hand if you all got a profile on Black Planet. Everybody, anybody,
I
or
don't
had
know.
a profile on Black Planet?
Right.
Had, never.
Oh yeah, I had
Had one.
like
Yeah, okay, here we go.
2002.
All right, so Bernie didn't know what Black Planet was, so we are educating Bernie. So we asked her to go and visit the site and give us some thoughts on Black Planet. And I think it's actually, when we think about messaging and getting messages across, because for whatever reason there are still a gang of people on Black Planet, and it's like, if we want to, I hate using the term hotep because it has a whole different meaning. There's like a woke movement, a fake woke movement over there. It's deep. It's serious. So Bernie, how was Black Planet?
Yo, I'm confused with this site. So when I first went on it, right, I thought it was a dating site, or it looked like a dating site. I don't know. It was so confusing. Then I was like scoping around and I was seeing like the different features of it. The chat, there's like, should I share my screen so y'all could see?
Oh, can you?
Let me see,
Do
because
it.
you have to give us access.
How do I do that?
I was just looking at the site just now for the first time in 15 years. Mad different than it was when I was on there.
Really?
I mean, I think I was using AOL online, America Online, when I was using that. That was a long time ago.
How can you text me? How do I go to my settings? All right.
Yeah, you go to your settings on your Zoom settings, and it allow your participants to share their
Is the
screen.
settings here? Where we at? Participants. He put his black. Is that your Black Planet profile pic? He changed his pic soon as with the Black Planet. Is that an automatic response?
Yes. Yes, I'm
Colin-
like,
Colin
I'm not
Kaepernick.
available, but I'm watching.
Hey, he's like, this is my Black Planet moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Bernie, we
this
live
is-
in Japan. You
this
gotta
is-
stop this.
Yeah, this is, I'm gonna just not say anything.
Yep. Let's go somewhere else. Dope.
Hold on,
What's
here's
the dope?
So how about those, those Yankees?
Yes. What's the
those,
dope? Can you go to the dope?
Cleveland
Click on the dope,
Cavaliers.
Bernie Ben. So you in the trending.
Okay.
Can you click to the dope?
There's a dope tab. Okay.
The dope.
Hey,
What is the dope tab?
Happy born day
there
to
is a
myself.
dope tab.
I will definitely
You're
be
on
getting
Black
into-
Planet, right?
Wait, so who owns Black Planet now?
Wow.
Who owns the site now?
Who
I
owns
have
it?
no
I don't
idea.
know.
Good question.
Wait a minute. Look in the popular posts for all the ignorant. What is that? What that's
Oh, hold on. Can I move y'all?
for all the
Yeah.
ignorant Negro sellout Trump supporters on BP? Did you fools know that Trump and his dad did not rent to blacks in 1973? Google it.
Oh.
Wait a minute, G. Riley. I was minding my business in Dunkin' Donuts one day, and like 3 Ethiopian What?
I actually started reading that. I was like, what?
What happened?
Oh, the post right next to this post on popular posts. G Relly.
I just heard them back.
So it looks like Black Planet is owned by a corporation called Urban One
Oh my goodness, that don't
and
sound too
founded
urban.
by a lady named Kathy Hughes. But it says the
That
company
relate to Radio One?
operates media properties targeting African Americans. It don't say if this is a person of color.
Right.
Mm.
So, okay, I got one friend request.
Wait a minute. No, it's in Silver Springs. Okay, Kristen, you gotta go see what's up.
Hey.
No.
Yeah,
Urban One,
boogeyman,
Silver
no.
Spring, Maryland-based American media.
Oh, this
So-
man's
Okay,
name
okay.
is just predatorial. Boogeyman.
Yo,
Oh, no.
look, I got.
No,
You reluctant to
Yo.
love.
he
They
started
got
following you.
Does he have
Uh-oh.
three
No, I
accounts?
have to accept it first. So
Politicking
this
to
Oh.
you.
man.
It's
Who
a
is
trap.
this? Politicking to you. What?
Oh, there we go.
Politicking
This
you?
man is about his politics. He politicking to you.
I don't know about
Uh-oh.
what. The what? The
No,
what?
it's hip hop because he spelled it wrong.
Blunted to love. These are the
Yo.
people who these are the people who looked at my account.
Gina Brain? Gina Brain?
Gina Brain. Let's look at their faces.
Uh-oh.
Doesn't he look like Umar? Dr. Umar? Like a 50
He got
Cent
the
version
Earl
of
Graves
Dr.
going. He got the Earl
He
Graves
got that.
going.
He might be from Philadelphia.
Miami.
Now he from
Okay.
Miami. He Haitian.
Hey, no.
Bernie's like, we're
he's,
not claiming that.
he's definitely he definitely voted for Trump with those shorts on, bro.
I was kind of looking at the very bilateral sideburns on the third picture.
Yeah, he got the
Yeah.
Earl Graves going. That's old Black Enterprise looking at.
Well,
Look how
let's see.
Handsome man.
Kathy's
Hey,
husband
man.
on the update,
Hey,
y'all.
this
Kathy's
brother is
husband.
shining, man. He look
What?
good. He look healthy. Go ahead. Gina Brain.
Look,
Oh,
Kathy's
man.
husband is black, so I found that out.
He's shining. He's shining.
Nice.
Excited.
His shoe bag.
Shining, but Boogeyman, oh, Daddy Tiger just hit you up. 3 seconds. Go back, Daddy Tiger. The daddy,
Daddy.
Daddy
Oh my
Tiger.
God.
Daddy Tiger,
That
Daddy
tiger.
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 That tiger.
Oh, he ain't got no
More
picture.
fire.
From
Oh,
VA.
yeah,
no
from VA.
picture. From VA.
They must.
Um,
They
what's
getting close
news?
to you,
Newport News.
Kristen.
Uh-oh, you better watch out, man.
He's not been posting shit.
I didn't post nothing, so I'm like, what are y'all following me for?
Come on, Bernie, you gotta post something. Post something. Be like, what up?
Like what? I
no.
don't even know, where do I even post? Y'all got me crying.
Post
There's
a link
tears
to
coming
this.
out my eyes.
Post a link to this episode.
Be like, is Brooklyn in the house?
Are we? Wait, where's my? How do I go to my actual profile?
It's not very
Almost-
user friendly.
I think you have to press Bernie ban.
There
Okay.
you go. Kristen,
right.
no, Kristen be on here every day. She's like, you
Stop.
gotta go.
Don't do me like that.
Daily affirmations.
Mind you, I got 4 followers
Oh,
already.
you got 4 followers. That
You see nothing.
Because that profile pic, look at you shining.
shining.
Look at that. You look fire. All right.
You look like you know.
Go ahead
what
and post it.
want in
You
life.
looking for a
Okay.
man that will politic with you.
Stop trying to sell this man to Bernie.
Look, I'm looking up Kathy. Where
Hey,
Kathy? Kathy making
Should
money.
should I get you sweating again, Mega?
Oh my
Should I
God.
get you
Man,
sweating?
I'm appreciating this like I would a beautiful scenery. Look at it. Wait. Stop right here. Right there in the
Kamala
middle.
Harris.
Look at that pink. Man.
Hey,
Where?
Kamala. Kamala. Kamala.
Look
Kamala
at
Harris
that.
on Black Planet.
Oh, click on Kamala website.
Yes,
Hey,
Kamala.
Yeah. All
Oh,
right, by the
okay.
way, Kathy Hughes is black. She from Omaha, Nebraska.
But
Okay.
also, there's like a chat thing. I don't know.
20.
I don't
Ooh, no.
edit anything.
BW.
Why did that BBW though?
What? Ooh, no. I am from African motherland.
said
Please, I
sweet
need your
man.
friendship. Mm.
What's
Oh,
that?
he got that.
Oh,
He got that
no.
419 going.
Wow.
Wow. Oh wow. Oh wow.
You calling my
Oh,
ass
wow.
dusty?
Man, he
Oh,
putting his
wow.
number out there just like that?
You
Okay.
said sweep my ass. Wait, what?
Huh?
I don't
Because your
know.
ass is dusty.
Yo, we
Wow.
About to make me an account.
we gotta. This should be the end of our segment every time. Just go on Black Planet.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I vote
I'm
for it.
confused. Teach me.
Wait.
There's 20 something. I don't know what this is.
What is all that?
Yo,
Oh, that's too much. Overload.
he's got the two Tuckamoon profile
There's,
picture.
there's 30 somethings. I don't know. This person keeps coming up, so I'm just
Bernie.
like, okay, what?
Bernie, go to Kristen's old page. Kristen, what's your page?
How do I find you?
I don't remember what it's called.
Can you search like people as opposed to?
Maybe you could. I don't know what my page is. I think it's Pauly Ron, but
look, I
don't
can't. I don't know
remember
if I can like search. People.
browse right there. Browse.
Oh, that top left right there.
Where?
Oh no.
Huh?
Huh?
I think
I
they
don't know.
changed it.
It's not user friendly. I think if you click on
Wait, why are they putting people's zip codes on here?
If you put browse, see right there underneath
You
the
know
B.
why, Christian. You already know why.
I don't want my.
No, you close. You within striking distance.
Go where, Paul?
Can you go to browse or go to search?
I did. This is browse.
Oh, what about search?
This is search.
It says female.
So there's two browsers. Why is there two browsers?
Paul, I don't know. Y'all told me to go out here. I don't know that.
I'm about to do some research. I'm gonna find my Black Planet. I'm on my phone though, because they want me. I'm not downloading the Black Planet app. Could you imagine having the Black Planet app on your phone? Somebody, let me use your phone real quick.
God.
I'm gonna get my shit right now.
Mega.
Hey man.
Appreciate the beauty, huh?
Hey, who is this one?
Oh,
I just saw Opie Cunningham. What is going on here?
Yeah, Opie Cunningham. Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, I'm about to see.
I'm confused just as you all.
So what are your thoughts, Bernie? What do you think?
I'm confused. I don't know how we talk. I don't know why I clicked that. I'm sorry. That was bad. Let's go back.
Okay.
Maurice, you didn't see nothing.
I didn't see that.
You know why you picked that, Bernie.
I didn't. With my finger.
Yeah, slip of the fingers.
It's very sensitive over here.
God is good to me.
I don't even know what this is. Man.
Wait, in terms of my opinion, like I don't really know what to do. Like it's kind of similar to Facebook in the sense that like, you know, I can make posts and stuff like that. I guess I see popular posts and I can see other people. I don't know how to make my post private if I don't want people following me. Like, here are my followers. 5 Boogeyman is my follower. Sexy Single MD is my follower. Yeah, boy.
It's your boy, Shane.
Don't tell my wife that though.
I'm crying. I didn't know you was in Green Belt MD.
What is that?
That's up the
Well, I mean, you are 36, right? Or 37?
Oh yeah, we could go with 36.
Yo.
Are you making him a profile? Oh my goodness.
Yo, if like you tell me his zip code, I'll go say hi to him for you.
They trying to just do MySpace again.
Pretty much. And then there's people. I don't know what my hits is. I don't really understand.
Those are the people that just visited you.
So why I gotta add them?
That tiger. The boogeyman. You got the tiger and the boogeyman, somebody reluctant to love, someone go politic to you, and then you got a Jenna brain.
I love how y'all said dat when it looks like datty.
Yeah.
Datty
girl.
Oh, so you was just saying. I see what you did there. Got it.
This is too much, man.
Maybe it's
I feel like it shouldn't be a hard ER on there if he gonna say that tiger. Weird.
Tiger. Why why can't be Tiger? Tiger.
Maybe the name was taken already.
Yeah. I don't think this is good for dating.
I don't think this is good for
I beg to differ. I saw
Mega. Somebody mute Mega.
Mega.
I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm not used to this.
What's the radio? Can you go to the radio? What's that?
Good question. I didn't check. Oh.
What word? Magic?
That's a live stream now?
Mainstream.
Magic 97.5.
We need to get on this. Good job, man. We can put this is not information.
Yo.
Give me that cool jazz.
I used to love when that came on when I was little. Oh my god.
I thought it was just me, but this site don't load that easily. When I was on my phone, it wasn't loading. It kept.
That's why I went to the website.
All right, get out the vote. Here we go. Political. What they say? Get out the vote. They ain't update this.
It's a little late.
They ain't update this.
It's not happening now. Okay.
Join us with Kamala Harris, Mary J. Blige, Samuel Jackson. Play for I guess Biden spent a lot of money on Black women. He cut Black Planet some checks.
I'm weak.
Yeah, but they need to update this shit though.
Yeah, yes. Yes, they do. And then
oh yes, here we go. This is what I wanted to see. Wait a minute. Who is that? She hit us with a whole bunch of big words. Complacency, and stagnation. Ooh, this love is so. Oh.
I'll be sure.
Listening to Patriot. Oh, see, watch out for her. Listening to Patriots, Jets on Westwood One. This little flexing girl, she everywhere. She must know somebody. She all on your page.
I got no page to be on.
No, look at my dude. All I want to know, do Black Planet.
I was just reading that.
Right.
If you married but separated, oh no. If you are married but separated and you want a solid relationship with your new boo, it can't be solid until you get a divorce. Nah, for real.
Speaking facts.
Hey y'all, I'm sorry to break up the party, but I've got to take off now.
Oh yeah, we should. Okay, so this is our first episode. It's cool. It's 11:40. We can end right now. So any last thoughts, Bernie? Thank you for taking us to your Bernie. I'm gonna find you on Black Planet this week. We got to find a different site. Social media is very interesting.
It is.
So any last thoughts as Mega's about to roll out? We can end it right here. All right.
Mega.
All right. So this is the first one. This is Information Podcast. We will be back in 2 weeks. Check us out.
I got one thing to say.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Shout out to the family of dearly departed Javier Ambler. I just want everybody to know that the fight has just begun in terms of political activism and political action. So just because Biden has gotten, or he got elected, doesn't mean that we rest on laurels. We got to push. We got to keep struggling. We got to keep resisting.
For sure.
Right.
And don't celebrate too much until January.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a runoff in Georgia. Maurice from Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Hey, I'm got my eye on it because I'm raised in Old National, and I worked with the DNC a long time ago, and the blue, I guess you could say, all the Democratic Party is heavy there, but I put in that chat, voter suppression. Like a lot of people have gotten their votes taken or like unlawfully suppressed. So. Right. Now that we have gotten rid of some of the obstacles, I mean, we still don't have VRA, in place, but it's going to be very interesting to see if Reverend Warnock and Mr. Ossoff can actually get in, and if they will hold themselves accountable to the people that have lifted them up over the past couple of years now. So I'm watching. I'm pretty dispassionate about it, but still, there's a glimmer of hope. I'm not completely dead inside, so we'll see.
Word up. Anybody else?
Rest in peace, Alex Trebek. I've always liked Jeopardy. Taught me a lot of facts.
Oh yeah.
Also, shout out to my nephew and all my other homies who's ex-felons out in California that can vote now. That's what's up.
Yeah.
There was some good in that vote. I definitely voted for that. All right, cool. Well, we're going to end it here. This is Not Information Podcast, numero uno. Peace.
Peace.
All right, y'all. I can edit it, so don't worry. Okay.
Hey, I
Um,
appreciate y'all.
Marie.